I was just noticing, I took a rock to the forehead when I was mowing the yard.
I have a
Ugh.
full-on face shield now that I own a industrial
Oh,
strength weed whacker.
yeah, yeah.
That thing has saved me quite a few times. And I, obviously wear my glasses underneath that. So,
Right.
uh,
Oh, that's good.
multiple layers of protection. I am a safety
Hey,
third.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Well, I I'm excited to hear about your latest travels because that
I
seems to
just,
be what you do. You're just like, there's architecture out there. I must experience it, and you're doing it.
yeah,
You're living the dream. You're living the dream,
yeah.
Cormac.
And as I'm posting things, I have other people say, "Oh, have you seen this one?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." So I'm like, "Wait a minute,
Oh man. Yeah. Here we go.
let me write that down."
Yeah.
And so this weekend, there is another home in Ann
Oh
Arbor.
wait, there's more? Oh,
There is more.
there's
we
more
could,
coming?
we could
Oh
just,
my
keep
God.
talking about
This
it.
is Cormac's Summer Architecture Travel
So,
Series is, yeah.
so I had texted you while I was driving saying, I need to get you out here because
Yeah.
as I'm driving through this, sure, I've got a car full of my wife, she is an appreciator. So she was actually excited about it. And then I have my daughter and dog in the back, and they're just like, more architecture stuff. Why? I just want to do
Because I
this or
took
that.
you to Lollapalooza, daughter. That's why.
There you go. There you go. It's like, because actually, here's exactly
You
what I
owe
told her.
me.
Here's exactly what I told her. I was just like, you've asked me, you've told me what you want to do today, and we'll do that. But along the way, there are some things that I can do for myself that your mother and I will enjoy. And she's like, whatever.
Everybody must sacrifice. Yeah.
Exactly. It's
A little bit.
that teenage roll your eye, whatever. Just like when
That
we used to.
disrespectful eye roll. Yeah, it's great.
It's like when we have that conversation with when we were still living in DC, and we would roll into a place and they'd say, "Is this history?" Like, yeah. Like, great. Like, it's just like, wait, what
Head
do you mean?
sinks.
It's like, you're right.
What?
It is great. So we were driving through Cranbrook, basically Cranbrook education communities, I guess. Cranbrook schools. I don't really know exactly what the entire thing is, but for those of you who don't know what Cranbrook is, it is a lower school, elementary, a higher school, middle school, and high school, and a university. And the whole entire campus was designed by Alil Saarinen. And what we were originally doing is we were looking for the Saarinen house. She put in, again, my navigator, who, absolutely love that she's loves to do this for me. But
Well, she doesn't want to die, Cormac. She doesn't want you to do it while driving. That's
no, it was more just the fact, it's just like she knows I'm going to pull over, get out of the car, drool a little bit, and take pictures and all of that other stuff. And thankfully, in some of the cases, she actually gets out and looks around with me.
She pretends to be interested.
Or at least pretends to be interested, yes. And so she was just like, hey, there's a Saarinen house. I'm like, Saarinen house?
Wait, what?
And she's, it was just exactly, it's like, I was like, which one? Alil or Arrow? And she, she kept looking, she's like, it's Alil. And I was like, okay, well, where is it? She goes, it's in West Bloomfield. Like, okay. And so we were following the directions to it, and we get close to it. I think we missed it a couple times, to be quite honest with you. But it was actually in the Cranbrook campus, or on the Cranbrook campus.
Oh.
And if you haven't been to the Cranbrook campus, it's amazing. There's a lot of beautiful architecture from both the Saarinens, father and son, a couple of other, amazing buildings. overall campus is just, I mean, the way that it's done. Every time I go there, I get a greater and greater appreciation for the Saradins.
Mm,
Um, but you don't learn a lot. You learn a lot about the early works of Allele because that was, kind of like where he grew up.
mm,
But you learn a lot about late career. Sorry, did I say Allele? I meant
yeah.
Arrow.
Oh,
So
okay.
you learn you learn about early Arrow, but you learn about late Allele. That's what I meant to say.
Okay. Okay. Give
And,
me an
but
idea of the geography here because I don't know anything. So when you said that name of that neighborhood, I have no idea what
so
you're talking about.
West Bloomfield, basically Bloomfield, West Bloomfield, Farmington Hills, these kind of areas, Birmingham, are the western suburbs, the more affluent western suburbs of Detroit.
Okay.
And so there are a lot of pretty amazing bits of architecture there. There's this amazing, and I still haven't been there, and it's on my bucket list of things. So, stay tuned for this amazing brutalist chapel that is really, really cool. I've seen photographs from the inside of it, and it looks basically like an upside down ship hull. And kind of think a la the Temple of Beth El Shalom that Wright did, but without all
Mm.
of like the little pokey things in it. It's like a smooth hull.
Without the Hokies. All right.
Exactly. I mean, what is the appropriate word for like pokey little adornment on
Right.
a ship hull? Um,
No idea.
but so we started driving, and so it's kind of on the western side of the Detroit metro area, kind of getting a little bit more into like a hilly area, very green. So a lot of things are like kind of like tucked in. And so you don't really see a lot of things, or at least you don't like immediately see a lot of things. And so we started like, apparently I drove past these Wright houses twice, and she goes, wait, they've got some Frank Lloyd Wright houses here. And like, they do? And so we doubled back and started driving through there after we were driving the campus. But I mean, I kind of like I was telling you, is like, love to get you out here just to kind of like look at some of this. What's amazing, what I've been learning as I like drive around from, the eastern side of Detroit through Detroit and out into the western suburbs, there is such a treasure trove of mid-century modern work throughout
Mm-hmm.
the region. That's just
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. Minoru Yamasaki, he practiced here. Albert Kahn practiced here. Smith Group started here. Let's see. There's Harley Harley Ellis Devereaux. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, they started here, and one of their headquarters or one of their buildings or offices is here. Couple of other, larger firms that you don't realize that they started here, but they started here. It's pretty amazing that there's just like all of this early work. Just like, oh, this was this Smith, Rillis, and something, which is what Smith Group was early on.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at like some of the other names that used to work at Smith Group and learned or were like draftsmen at Smith Group, and you're like, wait,
Right.
who's this Albert Kahn guy? It's just like who
Right.
basic, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, is to throw out just an example. And so it's really kind of interesting. And so now I'm on a mission to start to hunt down all of these other ones. And and we talked
You're
about
playing Pokemon, architectural Pokemon out there.
exactly.
Got to
It's
catch them
like
all.
got to catch them all because what was very interesting is we had talked about last time on like the big Wright field trip that I had met the son of Bertram Goodhue. Well, come to
Right.
find out, there's a Bertram Goodhue chapel on Cranbrook's campus. And it's like all of this stuff starts to like weave its way in together. And so we looked at two pretty amazing Usonians. One's a little smaller, but then there's this one that just kind of blew me away because it fully encapsulate. I mean, he's got this gift of being able to kind of like integrate into the landscape, especially if it's a terraced landscape.
Mm.
He's really capturing kind of like that layering effect of the back half of this lot falling away.
Why don't you just like pull up your Instagram and share your screen so that don't have to edit this in later, but you can actually show the image of the project you're talking about.
I guess I can do that.
Look at us using
Look
the
at us doing
technology.
some weird technology stuff. All right. Right, to not have Revit come up, because nobody needs to see Revit at all.
My wife was cursing the Revit today.
Well, everybody should be cursing the Revit today.
Stealing her life away.
It's a soul-sucking beast. Okay, so some screen share here. And yabba dabba do. Can we see?
I can see it. All right. So before you move on, we're just going to let the audio listeners know that there are visuals on the screen right now. We're sharing them on the YouTube version of this.
Yes, so Lee.
You might want to check it out.
Yes, Lee.
Well, Lee was watching the YouTube version.
It's just Cormac knows that this is a podcast, audio podcast, or whatever he said. But I guess Lee, I do know. It's just so as you can kind of see, starting from kind of the street view entry. This is a really, really thin door. Like we're talking about.
So you have to be really good at describing this for the people who absolutely refuse to go to YouTube to watch this right now.
Okay, so those who are...
You have to describe the alternate title of this image.
So the alternate... So let's just start with, and if anybody feels like looking it up, or at least going to my Instagram, and we'll send a link to the Instagram on the podcast.
On the show notes.
In the show notes. Yep. But this is the Gregor S. and Elizabeth B. Affleck house. And no, Michelle, it's not the Ben Affleck house.
Right.
And it's this beautifully terraced Usonian house that actually from the street face is basically the main floor entry. The entry door is tucked back, so you really don't see it when you first approach. It's kind of like a hidden little peekaboo behind this mass, which, I can only assume is kind of like the center hearth and kind of like, main kind of like utility area. Unfortunately, I missed the few times that this will be open for tours. And this is owned by Lawrence Tech University. And so they only have certain tours throughout the year, and I've missed this season's, and so it's beautifully like tucked into what is weirdly a kind of a multi-family development around it. It's like one of the only single families. I very much suspect that this at one point in time was one of the only houses there. And what's really nice about this is, so it's kind of flat from the street level, but you can see the site kind of falling off behind it. And so, of course, he captures that kind of atmosphere, that aspect of it falling off to kind of terrace the house beyond. And so as you start to like walk around the house, you start to really understand that terracing. And because of like his use of like red brick and stuff, and the way that the dappled light and everything kind of comes through, it really does sort of melt into the landscape.
I was going to say, when you sent these, I thought you were actually sending me pictures of the project that you described in maybe the last episode or the one before that, because it was very similar. It's like he doesn't believe in garages. There's a carport, right? It's the first thing you see is a carport. And then you talked about how the land kind of sloped off in the back of the house, and the house really opened up, and that this one does the same thing. I think what's so interesting about the Affleck house here is that it's basically one material. It's a bunch of volumes and kind of collided planes. It's like a collision and volumetric exercise. And today, this would not be one material.
No.
Pretty much. I mean, I can't speak for every architect out there. If this was Richard Meyer, it would just be white. But
True.
But today, we see so many projects where every volume is a different material, or there's at least 3 different materials or something like that to delineate the volumes from each other. And here it's just, well, I actually, it's so small on my screen, I can't tell. It looks like it's actually 2 materials. It looks like brick and wood. But it all is kind of in the same color palette. So it just kind of all goes together, at least in this lighting. It kind of looks very similar.
All of the cantilevered bits are wood. So there's like a cantilever canopy over a small terrace area. And the terrace area is even skirted with kind of a lap siding. And there's a couple of like little lap sidings. There is some copper, kind of like copper elements that have patinaed nicely. And so they kind of disappear. But for the most part, it really is red brick with a red stained wood siding. All of the eaves, wood, all of the fascia, all of the eaves, everything is a red wood. And so it kind of blends in. You think about it, like the red of the brick and the red of the wood, and then you see the setting of these green trees, and you wonder, it's just like, how can it kind of blend in? But with the shadow and with it just kind of like terracing with the landscape, it really does. And I was like so extremely impressed with it. I mean,
how does this read to someone who's colorblind? I wonder, like red-green colorblind. I don't know the answer to that, but it's like, it is a contrast, right? The red and the green. And like you said, they do kind of blend together, but the appropriate material for the appropriate use, right? And so cantilevering thinner objects in the composition are wood. They're lighter weight, right? The brick is the mass, it's the foundation, it's the volumes, it's holding everything up. And so it is kind of interesting to see the play of 2 different materials that look so similar in kind of when you step back and look at the whole thing, but they're appropriately used for their purpose.
So it was interesting is as we were driving through and we were looking at like this one and then looking at this post will have a couple, 2 shots of a smaller Usonian called the Smith House. And you drive through these neighborhoods and they're, like I said, rather affluent areas. And the houses there are larger, don't really want to call them builder homes, but there are some builder homes there. But I mean, they're just these larger, very traditional suburban homes. And all of those houses sit on the landscape, not in the landscape. And the thing that, I love about these is because they're actually a reasonably decent sized house, and you've got like, 2 and 3 floors in some cases. But because they're so carved in and they're terraced, and from one view, it really, so I had pulled up, basically you can kind of like drive around the house and see it from a couple of different views. And when you pull to, like, say, let's just call it the eastern side of this. And so again, if, people are listening, you can kind of see the way that it kind of sets in and it kind of is carved into it. And there's like a really small, it's like I can stand next to it and look at the roof, not look at the wall because I'm standing higher than the actual roof is. But then when I walk around to the front on the same facade, I'm actually at the front door underneath the kind of like terrace canopies, and you've engaged it at a story and a half with the clear stories, and then you walk around to another side, and so the view that we're kind of Evan and I are sort of talking about right now, then you're actually standing at a 2-story volume, and it feels like a 2-story volume. And it's so interesting the way that the scale changes as you just walk around this. You go
it's
from
really dynamic,
standing over it to standing in it to standing under it.
Yeah. And I think one thing that you see here, even in this image that you're looking at here, with the low wall kind of reaching out, I think that's something that really impacted me at a young age, looking at Wright's work that we talked about last time, Wingspread. right? The
Mhm.
Roby house. These are very stretched out, and they have like these elements that stretch out and engage the landscape,
Yeah.
and the house becomes retaining wall, right? Like
Oh,
on
yeah,
many
yeah,
in
yeah.
many circumstances, you see this at Falling Water. You see it in many examples of
You
homes that he did where it's fully integrated and part of the structure of the landscape.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you look at it and you think, "Okay, yeah, that's probably gonna cost a little even if we were gonna build it today, that's gonna cost a little bit," but, it's no real different. If you think about it, it's no real different from somebody building something with a basement or things like that.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
just this one, half of the basement is exposed and half of the basement is dug into the ground like a normal basement.
Yeah.
And
Half
it
basement. Right.
exactly. So, and so I'm, for again the listeners, I'm kind of like, scanning through I took a handful of shots of each of the houses. And, this is where I was saying that you kind of are standing up over looking down at the house. And it just, again, just feels like different scales and different levels of engagement of the house. And it's just
This is like a model view. This
it,
is
it really
this
is. This is
it's
what you,
it looks like somebody built a model of this house and you're looking
Mhm.
down on it from almost a bird's eye view, kind of a
Yeah.
three-quarter.
It,
Mhm.
and this keeps you very honest in the way that you treat your roofs as well, because these roofs are going to be seen. They're going to be engaged. It is much of the facade as the facade is. And so you have to
Mm.
be very genuine with what you do with it, because otherwise, if you just did like a cruddy 3-tab shingle roof, asphalt shingle roof,
Mhm.
it's going to be a completely different character than some of the other ones. It's like when we were up in Milwaukee and we were looking at the Burnham Block, and there's a series of houses that Wright did, and one of those houses, somebody actually had put siding on it, and so the character and the language of that house was completely eradicated. They tried to keep
Mm.
some of the right styling cues, but at the end of the day, it was basically so like that the whole language of right was eradicated by putting the siding on there because I mean, it was not good.
Mm.
What I did find out later though is that that whole block, all except for one of the buildings, is owned by a nonprofit, and they're actually trying to restore all of them back to their original glory, which is really interesting. If I can find out the information, I was asking one of the groups that I follow on Facebook for some of the information, and if I can find it, what I'll do is I'll post it in the show notes for people to go and take a look at it, take a look at what Burnham Block actually is, and if they feel so inclined, do a little bit of donation to the group.
Mm.
So so then we got to this is the Smith house. And this one, they, had a gate up, and I really couldn't get any closer, and I didn't really feel comfortable walking up to it. But this is definitely one where he's, dealing with a lot of like the different textures over, like the patterns over the clear story, almost like creating kind of like a breeze block type atmosphere with the overhangs. Again, here's something that you do not perceive or see where the front door is. But if you kind
Mm.
of see there's, doors and windows underneath it, but as you like move and you're looking straight on from the street of what would be considered the front facade, you don't see door one. You don't
It's private.
perceive
Yeah.
where it's at. It's very private. And it looks
Yeah.
back, and most of this is a little bit more kind of like a single story. It kind of opens up. It's not as terraced. It's not too far from the Affleck house, but the land sort of like flattens out a little bit. There's a pond in the back of it. Is it more of a
It
lake
looks
than a
like kind of
pond?
side to side terracing, not as
Yes.
much as the
Yeah.
Affleck house, but not front to back like the Affleck house.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And this is another one that they have tours of. I did, however, find, as I was telling you, there's one in Ann Arbor, so not too far from us, near that the owner of the house in Ann Arbor had seen the Affleck house and was so blown away and smitten by it that they, tracked Frank Lloyd Wright down and asked him. This was in 1950 when so we're talking what, like 7-8 years before his death. And so he was in his early 80s because I found out that he lied about his age, and for some reason was telling everybody that he was 2 years younger than he actually was. Not sure why. I mean, it's
Nobody wants to hire that senile architect. He's at least 2 years younger than senile.
It's like, 90 is a lot different than 92. And apparently he passed at 92. And so it was like, what's different about, like, I mean, I don't see 88 versus 90. It was close. A really weird one, I guess you have all of your, creative juices at 88, but you don't at 90.
Right.
So, but they saw the Affleck house and they were smitten by it. And so they commissioned Wright to do a house for them. And so there's this really amazing house in Ann Arbor. What's amazing about it also is that it's an Airbnb. So if you want to stay in a Wright house for the low price of $750 a night, you can.
Wow.
I know, right? So yeah, I mean, that was another, as I said, another weekend with Wright. So it was really, really fun and interesting to kind of discover more of Wright and realize that there's a scouting Boy Scout troop in the Grand Rapids area that gives tours to do fundraising for their Boy Scout troop. That tours a handful of the Frank Lloyd Wright houses in the Grand Rapids area. And there's I think 4 or 5 in a neighborhood, and at least 3 of them are open for tours. And but it's one of those steep prices of it's like $100 and some odd bucks to tour. I'm like, whoa, now kids, how about you just find me a Girl Scout and give me some cookies, because
they don't have the cookies to sell. I mean, they got.
I know, right?
That's
when my sons were in Scouts,
that money machine called Girl Scout cookies.
Exactly. The Girl Scouts, they are a organized crime.
Yeah.
Situation.
Money laundering.
Yeah. They're just like, I mean, $4 a box, and they're raise millions upon millions of dollars per year at $4 a box. It's exceptional.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Totally. So you said you have another one coming. You found more that have
I found
been
more
revealed through this process that you're gonna seek out.
So I'm on a mission to find and see as many Wright houses in Michigan as I can.
Nice.
And apparently there's a lot. The thing that I also would like to find is just start to kind of really hunt down some of these mid-century masters and really kind of look and showcase and share with you, seeing as how I can't get you out to the Midwest.
Are you planning on visiting the GM headquarters and
my gosh,
the big Sarin and stuff? And
yes, the General Motors Innovation Center. Yes, that is actually a huge bucket list of mine, because that it's amazing. It's to me, it feels very much on par with say the S.E. Johnson headquarters, because it's a campus, and really there's a lot of similarities to maybe not the way that the buildings are laid out. I mean, this is something more modern, and it's layout. Got a reflecting pond in the middle, a big globe, and then all the buildings around it. I've driven past it a couple times, craning my neck and just, is that the? And it was yes, it was. But there's very limited tours on that one as well. And so I've basically been picking the brains of anybody around here architecturally related that I can to just have conversations with them about it. Found
Nice.
out that there's a Marcel Breuer, like in my neighborhood,
Mm.
there is a Marcel Breuer library. I've seen it multiple times, but they're doing some renovations to it. And an addition that I'm going to just leave the jury out for now. But as I'm starting to see it evolve, I'm questioning its appropriateness to as an addition to a Breuer.
Is this a
But
new edition? It's happening
it's
now, or what do you mean?
it's a new addition. They're expanding the library. It's kind of outgrown. It's grown well past what was the original one, and so there's kind of a building onto the back of it, and just there.
You could leave it.
Yeah, we will talk about
Step
that
away.
one later. Yeah, we'll talk about
Put
that
your
one
hands
later.
on the back of your head and step away from the vehicle.
Exactly, exactly. And as I start driving around and trying to get to know Grosse Pointe, there are some amazing both mid-century houses around here, but then also kind of the early turn of the century type houses. And there's just this treasure trove of the most quirkiest of Tudor style houses because they're Tudor, but they're not like staunch, they've got like, they're almost like if Walt Disney was asked to like design a Tudor village and he kind of like cartoonized it a little bit and, kind of just made it a little bit. There's one house that I'm going to put in
it's like a caricature of Tudor.
It is. It very much is. And it's such an interestingly weaved neighborhood or community that, again, it's one of those, hey, Evan, you should come out here and visit. I'll come out and visit you. I'll come out and visit you, but you got to come out and visit me. Because I also have planned, and this is another reason why I got to get you out here, is this has literally been a bucket list since I knew of their existence, probably like maybe 4th, 5th week of first year of architecture school, was Louis Sullivan's Midwest Banks. And so, and there's been several people that have connected with on Facebook that have been posting pictures of these banks. And it's just, to me, I just kind of drool of that period of time. He's one of my favorite architects. And it's so interesting because you can definitely see Sullivan's influence on Wright, in the way that he did, that he had kind of adorned a box and with kind of like this, whereas kind of Frank kind of cut away instead of applied. It was still a decoration of form. And what was really interesting about those, I don't know, there's just something about them. That is a bucket list that I've got to see. I've already mapped out every single one of them. I just need this.
Nice.
I just need this guy, Evan Troxel, to come on over here and hop in the truck and we'll hit the right trail and we'll hit all of these Midwest banks.
Play architectural Pokemon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Catch them if you can. And then of course hit Chicago. We got to get you back to Oak Park. We didn't dive deep enough in Oak Park. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the morning before a flight. And,
exactly. We're like, hey, you've got 3 hours before you have got to check in. So what do we want to do? And drive the opposite direction of, was it sort of I guess it was sort of the opposite direction of where you were going.
Yeah, a little bit,
but why not?
Matter.
Why
not?
Exactly.
It was that was the perfect thing to do.
We sort of just kind of walked into Unity Temple, and they're like, "Oh, are you here for the tour?" Like, no, sure.
Yeah, is there room?
Yeah, exactly. Probably was, but yeah. So that was another weekend with Wright.
It was. The theme continues. Oh man, it's fun to hear about all that stuff and live vicariously. So appreciate you sharing. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And there's definitely going to be more to come. I've even said, it's the bug has hit me. So I'm going to probably step away from the CEUs now that I found out that I only needed, I was sharing this with a couple of people today because I logged in because I wasn't getting, or some of the, I guess, weekly announcements for the AIA Detroit. And I saw they had posted on their Facebook page and their Instagram that they had an event. I'm like, I wanted to go to that event. Why wasn't I at this event? So I logged in to check to see if my local component was still back in DC or did they change it to Detroit? And they did change it to Detroit. Apparently I didn't fill out the forms and stuff to be part of the mailer of all of these different events. And so I kind of like stumbled upon that. And so as I was on there, I clicked on my transcripts and I looked at all of the different things, and of all of the different states. So you've got like the national component and you need 18 HSWs for that. And then I've got my Florida component and my Maryland component, and both of those need 24 hours per 2 years. I just finished them, right? So now I'm technically on year 1 of 2 years of HSWs. Go ahead and guess. I think I might have said 42.
I know the number already. Yeah.
42 HSWs. And there's just 9 months of this year alone. I'm sorry.
You have an addiction, a problem. You need to seek help. You need to get out more. You need to step away from the screen.
Guess what I did,
you spend plenty of time behind the screen already. You don't need to.
Guess what I did today? I signed up for an in-person IBC building code.
That's redundant.
CEU.
That's like saying automated teller machine, the ATM machine.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't say IBC building code.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I signed up for another 6 CEUs. So just keep on stacking them on. No, and I still haven't done the one that I still have to do, though. I still have to do one, and that's the pay for the 2 hours of the Florida building, the advanced Florida building code one.
There's way more people out there on Team Evan than there are on Team Cormac. And Team Evan is cram at the last moment, get exactly the number you need. That's it. Just fulfill the requirement before the deadline.
I was chatting with somebody today, and they're just like, "What the hell? I'm always like, I'm cramming at the last second, and here you are." It's just like, I'll give you some if I was allowed to.
That'd be cool.
It's just like, hey, let's just say we earned them together. What I will say,
it's like donating PTO to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Donate your CEUs.
Speaking
to a needy architect.
I should probably take a look at how much I've used so far and make sure
that use that up too.
Because I think that I've only used up at month 9 of the year. I think I've only used up the ones that I carried over from last year. So
that's right. You had a bunch.
Yeah, got to carry. Well, they only let us carry over 80 hours. So it's use it or lose up to 80. I don't.
Only.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you hear how messed up this is? Come on. Do you hear yourself?
Do I hear? I do. Because I have earbuds in it.
Take a day off the week. Take a day off a week for the rest of the year. Take those vacation hours. You earned them.
Go and look at some spectacular Midwest modern architecture.
Collect some more traditional architecture to share on the Archispeak podcast.
One of these days we should talk about style. Because even though I have got certain sensibilities like, more modernist tendencies and like love, I still really love and appreciate as much of the traditional architecture as I do modern architecture. And it seems to be this wedge in our profession between, the different factions. And I'm like, Can't we all just get along?
You like them a lot more than I do, that's for sure.
I do.
So,
I do.
yeah.
I do.
But it's kind of like musical appreciation as well, right? It's like we have a wide appreciation of a lot of different musical styles as
Yeah.
well.
Yes,
And
true.
so I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I don't have it quite as bad as you do on the architecture side.
True. You know, it was funny is let's leave you with this, is like, so as I was driving through Cranbrook, I was getting so excited about like looking at all of these buildings. If there's any way of like just validating to yourself, yeah, you're in the right profession, it's that you physically get excited about seeing buildings and stuff. And
It's the emotional response.
yeah, exactly. It's like, either what's wrong with you, what kind of nerd are you, or just
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're doing the right thing.
I'm excited.
Because exactly.
You're architectural puppy dog.
I mean, there's all sorts of things that, you know, get people excited about all sorts of different things. And literally it's how bricks and mortar goes together for me.
Well, that picture that you posted or sent to me, I don't know if you posted it, of the gate.
Yeah.
The Saarinen,
my
just
Lord.
the gate to the campus. One of the
didn't
gates,
post
not even the
Yeah.
gate, but wow.
I didn't post that.
Incredible. I get a little choked up when I talk about architecture.
Exactly. It gets you.
Gets me
But,
here. Gets me deep.
But yeah, and each of the gates around Cranbrook are different. And you really can't tell which one's like, they're
the
so,
main gate.
they feel like so ceremonial. Like that one that I was going through, it clearly, because it was like one way and stuff like that, that it was more of a maintenance entrance. Certainly didn't look like one.
Yeah, right.
It certainly did not look
that
like one.
gate did not say this is the back door.
Exactly. And so, but the Cranbrook campus is amazing. It just, the whole thing, teachers housing, the middle school. It's a more modern, like more contemporary building, but more, kind of modern in its design. But it's so well done and so well integrated with all of the other buildings throughout the campus, these old 100-plus-year-old buildings all the way through kind of like the mid-century modern stuff. And just, it's so well curated that it's an interesting tapestry of different buildings that just work well together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And by the way, still blown away that my house is 82 years old.
The math still, I'm amazed at the math.
Exactly.
Oh man, good times. Well, I opened up another rabbit hole at the end there with the going back to Cranbrook, but
Exactly.
maybe by the time this episode comes out, you will have posted a picture of the gate as well.